Hi friends, and welcome back into my studio. If you are new here, my name is Tammy Ernest and I am a Longarm quilter, and here on my channel I like to share customer finishes as well as my own personal projects. So today I'm going to share with you some more blocks from my hometown holiday sampler, and then I have lots of customer quilts to share with you. I just thought I would do a family update. You know that we had 3 grandbabies born last year, and I just love them so much. Grandkids are the best. They're so much fun to have around. The 2 older ones, Kanan and Ellie, are both crawling now. Actually, Kanan's a month older than Ellie, and Kanan's a boy. So all those big muscle movements, I think he's just going to outpass her all the time. But he's already standing up around things, can walk around like his little play yard, and but they're both crawling, both getting around, just so fun. I mean, it's such a fun age. Ellie loves to look at little books and point out things in her books, and Kanan loves to jump. Kanan's a jumper. He's a busy boy and just loves the activity. And little Dallas is always getting such a good personality. He's cooing and talking and rolling over and grabbing at his toys, and finally through that newborn stage where everything's just hard, you know, and finally getting that, seeing that little personality and the smile, and such a joy to have grandbabies. So I hope you have grandbabies close. If yours are already grown, then find somebody else's to hug on. I don't know. I enjoy them so much, and enjoying the winter time. Thankfully, in my job and what I'm doing, I'm home most of the time. So don't have to get out into the snow. We've had some very, very cold weather. Snow's been on the ground for several weeks, but you can, my curtain is closed, but that's how bright the sunshine is even coming through my curtain. I can handle winter as long as there's the sun shining too, and I'm enjoying that. I hope you are as well. I hope you're safe and warm, and we're almost through the end of January already, and my goodness, that means for Indiana, that means about 1 more month of winter weather. March is one of those. It's kind of like October, you know, except in the other direction. March, a little colder in the beginning, a little warmer at the end. You kind of have a little bit of everything in March, but it's working that way. And I can already see it's lighter, longer in the evening, and so enjoy the season we're in, whether it's grandparenting, whether it's parenting, grandparenting, whether it's summer, fall, winter, spring. Enjoy the season you're in, because life just goes too fast. So I hope you are well where you are. Let me show you some updates on my hometown holiday sampler. So this was a quilt along with the Fat Quarter Shop the end of last year, and I am still working through this. This pattern is still available. You can buy just the pattern, which is a whole booklet. I mean, it's a big deal. You can also buy the kit, which is what I have. I have the entire kit, which has all of the fabrics from the hometown holiday line, and loving this. I'm really, really enjoying working on this one. But have you seen Lori Holt has a new Americana line coming out, and she has recolored this all in those fabrics. There's a kit that's going to be available for that as well. Oh my goodness, I might be willing to do this quilt again with those with the new fabrics. Her latest fabric lines, blown it out of the park. The autumn one, the Christmas one, and this Americana one coming out. I know she's got another one, Peace and Plenty, something like that, you know, out. I mean, she's just killing it right now. She's doing such a great job. But if you would like to work through this one, this kit is still available. The pattern is still available. So let me show you where I am. I mentioned before that I had a couple blocks that I had forgotten to show you, and I think these are the right ones. I think these are the ones that I forgot to bring down. If I've already shown you these, then I apologize. But this is the bright block. There are 2 of these. Maybe I did show you these. Now I can't remember. It was either these or it was the shimmer ones, and I kind of feel like I showed you the shimmer ones, and I didn't bring the shimmer ones down, so we're just going to roll with it. You know, if I've shown you these before, then I apologize. So these are the bright blocks, and the reason I think maybe I showed these to you is because no, maybe that was a different one. Anyway, when you're piecing this one, notice that on the pink ones, the easy corner triangles are on the bottom left, okay? And when you're doing the easy corner triangles on the brown piece, it's on the bottom right. So if you put those, you know, if you're doing these strip piecing them and you do the browns and the pinks, do the easy corner triangles on the same side, it's not going to work out. So the pink ones, the easy corner triangles are on the bottom left, and on the brown ones, the easy corner triangles are on the bottom right. So, and then when you put the two together, you get the star shape and the solid piece in the middle. So pinks and browns and reds, and then you have the little square in the corner blocks, and that's a really cute feature on this one. And then this block, different colorway. This one is in the green and the yellow with the aqua blue in the middle. So those are called the bright blocks, 2 of those. So then I am done with all of the star blocks. The only thing I have left, well, I'll show you what else I've worked on. The hollyberry ones are all of these right here, and all of these right here, and all of these right here. There's a ton of them. And I showed you those the last time I shared my hometown holiday sampler progress, and I've not done any more of those. I am learning of myself. I get bored easily, and maybe that's why I like long arm quilting so much, is because it's a new quilt every time. You know, I get customer quilts in and I get a new quilt every day, couple a day, you know, that I'm working on. So I just find that I get and that's probably why I have so many projects going on, because I'll work on one for a little bit and then I'll move on to the next one, and then I'll come back and do the other one. And I'm not a monogamous quilter or cross stitcher. Really, I'm not a monogamous crafter of any kind. I have multiple things going on at once. But I'm just learning that to do that many hollyberry blocks over and over and over again, I need to break it up. So I've not done any more progress on those. Did finish, I showed you the bright ones. And then the next one, I've not done any more letters. But after the hollyberry ones is the home block. I was going to call it the house block. Lori calls it the home block. Nice big home right in the middle. Now, from the hometown holiday sampler and the whole feel of this quilt, I'm assuming this is supposed to be kind of like a log cabin, and I can kind of see how that is. But I could, you know, could you see this done in like the Emma fabrics, or the what was the other one that came out? Sense and Sensibility, you know, those whole lines. Can you see this house done in those fabrics and how it would look like an English manor or something? I just think it would be really cute. Super simple to put together. You know, you're just matching squares up. You have some long pieces, easy corner triangles, the 2 chimneys at the top. Those are just some squares. So it doesn't take, I mean, it's a big block, but it really didn't take that long to put together. Like the blue house, love the red door. Used to have red doors on our house years ago, and then I painted everything black, painted all the doors black. So if you go down, if you chip away paint, you can find red doors. Earlier in our marriage, that's what we had on our house. But love the red door. I just love the colors. I love the yellow windows. I did make sure with this yellow print that I had all the yellow facing the same direction, because if you'll notice, these aren't square. The yellow fabrics, they're not square. It's more of an elongated, more of a rectangle. So I made sure that all of them face the same way. And it really wouldn't matter which way. I did mine long ways. You could have done the white going across. I don't know if it would have made it look any different, but that's the way I did it. So it looks like the lights are shining in the house, and it's so pretty. The next block to work on are the inner trees, and there are 2 of these, and I just got a little bit of start on this one. So I'm making some stars. Let me show you what those are. The inner trees are the ones right next to the house, so there's 2 of those. Notice they have stars on the top, and that's what I got just a little bit of a start on. These are all the pieces, everything's cut. Unfortunately, I don't have felt letters to spell out inner tree, so I just had to put a post-it note on there. If you saw my video last week, you know what I'm talking about the felt numbers that I found at an antique store. Love those, but it would be cute to have little letters too, but they'd have to be a lot smaller. My whole board would be taken over just with the words inner tree. But all I've gotten started so far are the star points, and that will go around the yellow there to make 2 stars. So these are done with easy corner triangles. And so you can see how, if you can see that, how I've done mine. I've done the easy corner triangle in this part, and I've trimmed away the backing. This one, the easy corner, starts out as a square, and you stitch that diagonally. I do not trim away my extra fabrics until I press this back, because I know that that back rectangle of the background print, I know that that is square. So if I wait and press that easy corner triangle back to that exact point, then I know that this yellow part is pretty square too. It's not always going to be perfect. You know, sometimes your stitching isn't exactly on the diagonal. I try to go just a tad bit inside the diagonal, at least with my machine, just because I find if I do it exactly on the diagonal, then sometimes it's a little short to reach that corner when I press it back. So that's how I do it. And then I trim, once I press, then I trim away those back too. And I've shown you before how a lot of times I'll do an extra stitch on there so that when I cut that away, I've already got a little bit of a half square triangle block there. I did not do that on these. I was just in a hurry, and I could. You know, those haven't been trimmed away yet, so I could still do those. So I have those blocks ready, and then everything else is cut and ready to go. And this is how I keep things organized in my sewing room when I'm working on a project like this. As I cut all the pieces, I put them on a design board. I try to lay them out in the order that the pattern shows. I still go back and check, because if it says, you know, use the G block, I want to make sure that the G block is actually the one. And you could mark these with little letters. I don't. I try to lay them out in the order that they are shown on the pattern, but then again check to make sure I have the right one. So that's how I lay that out. And then I do have the next blocks laid out too. These are for the middle tree. And these are all the same fabrics, but you needed, I don't know, 48 of them, I think. And so I put them in stacks of 4 just so I didn't have to continue to count over and over. No, I made sure I had enough. So these could all be stacked on top of each other because they're the same block, but I just did them stacks of 4 until I had them cut. So those are all the pieces for the middle tree. And then I'm on to the letters, which I already have probably a third of those done. So there's a middle tree, there is an out, there are outer trees as well. So you can see she's just working on it. So here's the inner tree, the middle tree, and the outer tree. So there's 2 of each one. I have all the other star blocks done. Need to go back and do the holly berries that I don't have finished. And then I'm up through about G or H on the letters, so I have the letters to do. So I hope to get some more of this done soon. Again, this is still available as a kit. If you're done with Christmas, don't want to do Christmas anymore, then I would go ahead and reserve the Americana kit. And it's the same fabrics, but if you get the booklet that's for the Americana, then it's not the same fabrics, it's the same pattern. But if you're wanting to do the Americana one, to get the right fabrics to go with the right kit, I didn't look close enough whether they've whether they've gone through and changed the SKUs on this one. I assume they have, or whatever. I don't know that I would buy the booklet again. I don't know. I'll look into that and tell you more information. But that's to ship, I think, in March. The other thing the Fat Quarter Shop has right now is the Cupid box. Last I looked, it was still on reservation, but as soon as those Cupid boxes send out, which I think it's by the time this airs, they may have already shipped out. The price goes up once they already ship out. But I'm excited. I know mine is on its way, and I can't wait to see what's in there. There is a finishing kit, not available at the moment that I'm filming, but perhaps it'll come back in stock. I'm not sure about that either. But the Cupid box, February, can you believe we're already through almost the entire month of January. Time is flying. Enjoy the season you're in. Now, I am working on 2024 projects. You know, I'm still finishing up the Hometown Holiday Sampler, but I love a new year. I love a new start. I love a blank calendar. I love making plans and goals, and I am thrilled to tell you that again today, Skillshare is sponsoring my video. This is perfect timing because Skillshare has so many opportunities for classes for members to take, all about goal setting and planning and creativity in the new year. I mean, this is the great time. Creativity is like any muscle. You need to work it for it to get stronger and stronger, and the more you work it, the better you get at it. It's like exercise or anything like that. So Skillshare is sponsoring my video today. They are giving a 1-month free trial to the first 500 people that click on the link below. But I wanted to share with you my favorite teacher on Skillshare is Bonnie Christine. I have followed Bonnie Christine for years and years. She has many wonderful classes on Skillshare, some about goal setting, but if you know Bonnie Christine, she's also a surface pattern designer, and she teaches that on Skillshare. So Skillshare has learning paths as well, which means that you work from one class. Once you finish that one, you work on to the next one and the next one. So it's a whole series of classes that have been put together for you to learn surface pattern design. So if you've been quilting for a while and you're thinking, I would like to try my hand at designing my own fabric, you could take Bonnie Christine's class and learn all about surface pattern design. Now that's about designing fabric, but surface pattern design has a lot of other applications. She has a whole class on designing gift wrap. Would that not be fun? Designing your own gift wrap to give your presents to your family in. But then as well, Bonnie Christine is a great business coach. She has been one of my heroes. One of those mentors that I look up to in my small business, and looking up to how she has started a business from the ground up and now teaches other people how to do that. So she's got some business courses on there as well, productivity, especially for creative businesses. So Skillshare, you will want to check it out, a free 30-day trial of Skillshare to the first 500 people who click on the link below. Skillshare has thousands and thousands of classes taught by industry experts, so members can take this and learn about film or learn about productivity like I mentioned, or small business, or illustrating, or photography, all kinds of stuff, crafts, do-it-yourself, home improvements, home decor, all kinds of stuff. So you'll want to check it out, and there is something for everybody. You can learn something, and I'm thankful to Skillshare for their sponsoring my video today. And now, how about we move on to some customer quilts? You are not going to want to miss these because they are some beauties today. I have two quilts to share with you from Liz today, and her first one is Threadbare. This is a pattern by Camille Roskelley, and here is what the pattern looks like. So the pattern is for a 76 by 76 quilt, which is what Liz did. So it's a square pattern. I love the spools. You could do this in any size. Although the pattern is created for a 76 by 76, you could definitely do this as just 4 squares and hang this on your wall in your sewing room. It would be absolutely adorable. This pattern by Camille Roskelley uses charm packs, and Liz also used a Camille Roskelley pattern or fabric, which this is her Sunnyside fabric. So the greens and the florals and the blues, classic Camille Roskelley colors, absolutely gorgeous. I love the green floral with the large mauve colored flowers on that, and then she's also got her blue florals, but I like this green one. It's really cute. I like the little darker of the mauve that's thrown into this line, or the magenta, is that what you would call that? You know, you've got your lighter mauves, your lighter pink colors, but I like this darker one thrown into the line on this one. So all charm packs. The pattern does take 2 charm packs, or you could create your own from whatever yardage you have. If this isn't your colorway, then choose your favorite 5-inch squares to put inside this and to match what would work well in your sewing room or for a throw on your couch or whatever. I just think it is so cute. The spool ends that Liz created is done with Bella Solid American Blue, and then her background fabric is Plaster of Paris Pearl, and that is a Northcott fabric. So it's almost like a grunge. It just has the slightest tone-on-tone little smudges is what it looks like. So you could definitely do this scrappy if you didn't want to use one solid print. If you're wanting to do this as a scrap buster, you could do different ends to your spools if you wanted, or you could even do 4 spools so that you get this, you know, the pinwheel the same or whatever. I mean, it could be done in so many ways. So when you do it with all the spool ends the same background fabric, it gives it a very cohesive feel, even though each one of the spools may be a little different. It's very cohesive. This could totally work for a scrappy quilt as well. Great stash buster if you need to do one of those every once in a while, right? So really cute. The backing fabric is also a Camille Roskelley fabric as well. So pretty. Now you will notice I have attached the binding on this for Liz. She asked me to attach the binding to the front, and then she will finish the hand binding on the back, and so that's what you're seeing around the edge. I love that dark edge. It just I like that a lot on my quilts, is that I like that final frame. That's what it feels like to me, as a frame. Not always, it's not a hard and fast rule, but this creates the perfect frame around this quilt. The pantograph, this is Baptist fan. I do use the Easy Baptist fan that is done by Three Sisters Fabric. So easy to stitch out. It just works out perfectly. It nests really nicely. So while it does have some pretty precise points, you can fudge a little bit by leaving that space open just a tad bit. And so if you're a new digital long arm quilter, I would say once you're pretty comfortable with lining up pantographs, that this is a pretty good one that you can do and practice matching points, because there's some give with this pattern. Not all patterns where you have to match up points is there some give, but this one has a little bit of working room where you can leave a little space where it comes down. It doesn't have to fit exactly perfect side to side. If you've done long arm quilting for very long, you know your quilts tend to shrink in as they get quilted, especially the more dense of quilting that you have. So with this pantograph, because you've got I've got about an inch of space where that design needs to meet up with the row above it. If it's off a little bit, it's still going to look okay. And so as you're learning digital pantographs, and as you're learning your machine, and as you're just learning to line up pantographs, this is one that I think you could practice on. Not practice, I mean put it on a nice quilt. I think you would do well with it. But just a step up from just one that nests in well, doesn't have any nice, doesn't have any exact points to match up. I think you could work with this one and kind of get your feel on how to line up your quilt on the frame and how to shrink in your design so that you can get some more precise points. So a good skill builder. I think you could do this one. I did use the Omni natural white thread on this one. We have the light background fabric, the white background fabric, and just think it's a classic look with that. I felt cream color was going to be just not look quite right on the white, so I kept it with the white fabric and just love the way this turned out. Liz did a great job on this one. Liz's second quilt is a picnic quilt, and she says this pattern is by Ruby Star Society. I was able to find a free PDF on the Fat Quarter Shop website that does say Ruby Star Society Summer Sew Along 2022. So this is the cover. This is, again, a free PDF. I'll link it down below so you can grab one if you want. So it shows beginner-friendly, perfect picnic pattern. Is a great way to play with fabric values. It's also perfect for a summer picnic. So you need 3 fabrics, a light fabric, a medium fabric, and a dark fabric. And you can kind of see how Liz has done hers. She chose a dark fabric. Her medium fabric is the one that has the floral on it, and then her light fabric is that same colorway, just with no print on it. This fabric line is called Sister Bay. This is by 3 sisters for Moda. Then she chose the Bella Solid Hometown Sky is the solid color that she's used right here. Great match for this this fabric line. Love this fabric line. This quilt just has a very calming feel. Just classy, I guess I want to say. Just a classy. Wow, I really like the feel of this one. I love the florals. This blue has just a light print in it, and I really like that. She has added a border onto hers that the pattern does not necessarily call for, but she's done the dark border, skinny one, and then she's taken that large floral print and done an outer side and a larger outer border. I just think it's very, very nice. So you could do this in whatever colorways. You pick 3 colors, a dark, a medium, and a light. Obviously your medium is going to be the one that's used most often because that's used in every row. These are 5-inch squares. So while the pattern calls for yardage, it does say, it tells you yardage or fat quarters. You are making 5-inch squares from what I remember. Yeah, you're making 5-inch squares. So you can grab this free pattern. You can see how on theirs they do a colorway. Isn't that pretty? So whether you want a classy looking quilt like this with the florals or you want a scrappy quilt, you could do this scrappy, but you're going to have to make sure to get the pattern to show up. You're going to have to make sure that either you only use 3 fabrics, or the 3 fabrics you use, or maybe you use 3 colorways, that you have a dark that's going to be the same throughout the quilt, and a medium that's going to be the same throughout the quilt, and then a light. Otherwise you're going to lose the effect of the picnic type or the gingham type look to this. You're going to just make sure if you use scrappies that you know, your dark fabric is all the same color, your medium fabric is all the same color or same value. Otherwise you're going to lose that feel to it. Now you can see in their pattern what they did. Their dark fabric looks the same, their light fabric looks the same, and then what they did is their medium value print is the one that changes throughout the quilt. So like that idea. And then they give you lots of ideas on the cover of different colorways that you can do. So lots of choices there. Really love. You cannot go wrong with a gingham quilt. I just love it. Well, let me show you the backing. Backing fabric is that Bella Solid, and I think I told you that is Hometown Sky is the name of that. Now the pantograph that I used on this one is a brand new one to me. This is called Blossoming Dreams. This is by Barbie Mills of the Quilting Mill. I absolutely loved this pantograph. Loved it, loved it. I've got to find a quilt of my own to put this on. I just loved stitching this out. Just absolutely beautiful. Let me see if I can show it on the back so that you can see all the texture of it. Do you see all that? Oh my goodness, I just absolutely love this one. So you have your swirls, and you have the flower. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, an 8-pointed flower right here, a 5-pointed flower right here. You have circles in there. This flower right here is a little more pointed, where you notice this flower, it's a little bigger, but it's a 6-petal, and it's a little more loopy. You have a 5-petal one. I just absolutely loved it. I love the texture it created. It stitched out beautifully. Love the swirls, and I just loved it. Loved it. Now the thread color I used on this one was light gray. And it almost, looking at it, it blends so well with the colors of this quilt. You would almost think it was the same color thread. Decided not to go that route, just to use a light gray. I thought it looked so nice with it that there was no need to wind my own bobbins or anything to get the exact color match. I just think the light gray worked really, really well with this color scheme. And the pantograph, I just love it. I loved every minute of stitching this one out. It was so fun. I just loved the texture. I loved the swirls. I loved the design, that it went so well with this quilt, with the florals that were on here, and you can see it so nicely in not only the darker squares but also the lighter ones with the texture. I just love it. So Liz's final quilt measures 68 by 68. The pattern is written for that size, so but it does not show borders on it, so perhaps she did it a little smaller and then added the borders on there to get that same size as the pattern. But you'll want to check out that pattern, and I just love it, Liz. Nice work. This is Katie's quilt, and this is just so darling. Sorry for my red nose. I've been outside taking pictures. We have snow on the ground right now here in the mid-January time frame, and I still take pictures outside, and today when we got up it was -5. So it is afternoon and it's about 20 degrees outside now, but I ran outside to take some pictures. Actually, it is perfect for taking pictures right now because I have no sun on my porch right now. The sun has already gone farther to the west, but with the snow, it's creating this very filtered light. It's brightening things up. It is absolutely perfect weather for taking pictures. At least the lighting is. It's a little cold to be out there, so sorry if my nose is red, but that's the reason why. Katie's quilt is the pattern called Towards the Sun. This is created by Robin Pickens, a very modern style quilt. So it's my take on it is it's flowers reaching toward the sun. So let me hold it up. Well, actually, let me just show you the pattern front. So the pattern comes in 2 colorways. You can either make it with the white background or with the gray background, and Katie chose the darker background. So this is all Robin Pickens fabric. The pattern called for, Katie told me, it called for Dandy Annie, and she actually used Dandy Duo. So very similar, if you can see on the pattern. I mean, the colorways are very similar. And actually, let me look on the back of it. It tells you the fabric requirements if you want to make the white and yellow version or the pink and gray version. Both of those use the Dandy Annie for what's listed on the pattern back. And like I said, Katie chose the Dandy Duo. Very similar, it looks like. Maybe, unless my color's off on my computer, it looks a little orangey. This looks a little more pink fuchsia color to me. But whatever your favorite colorway is, you could do this. So these circles are appliqued on top, every one of them, it looks like. So you're creating a background, I'm assuming, and then you're appliquing these on top. Katie has done just a looks like a blanket stitch around each one. She has used white thread on each one. It looks really nice. And then the background fabric is all thatched, which is also Robin Pickens. Multiple colorways you can pick and thatched. I mean, whatever quilt you're working on, it's a great background fabric. It's a great backing fabric. It comes in so many colors, but it's not just a solid. I mean, it gives you a little bit of texture. It's like grid lines that aren't quite all even, a really nice line. And you can see on the back she's used the thatched line also, but in the lighter gray color. So the front is a little darker, and then the back is the little, I would say this is more of a lead gray color, and this is more of a charcoal, if that makes sense, a little lighter. So let me look at the stems down here. You can see these. These are pieced. These are not appliqued on, so those are pieced. For pantograph, I actually went online and did a little bit of searching to see what others had used on this one, just to kind of get an idea. I just wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe circles. And I did see some pantographs that had, some of these quilts that had some circles with some other squares on it. I didn't quite like that one until I saw this one. And I saw this post and it said that Julie Hurt had quilted it, which Julie Hurt is a digital pantograph designer. So I went on her Etsy site and sure enough, this pantograph was on there. This is called Even Flow, and this is what she had done when she had quilted one of these quilts. And so I'll move it up here so I think you can see it a little bit better on down here on the darker, maybe, hopefully so. So lots of straight lines. So this looks like vines that are growing up. And so this fits this design of this quilt perfectly. So very straight lines, and then it has the appearance that they're weaving in and out of each other. Really, really cool. Now, when you bring this in, so this does have to be stitched this way because your lines are running horizontal. So it does have to be stitched this direction. When I brought it in, the two rows actually overlapped the way that it was programmed. So like the bottom line of this row, the top line of this row was right on top of that. And I actually separated them out. And I don't know that you're going to be able to tell that on here. Like this is the bottom row of one line, of one pass, and then this is the top row of the next one. So they were on top of each other when I pulled it into Pro Stitcher, and I actually separated them so that the space between the rows was the same as the spacing within the row, if that makes sense. So less than my finger width apart is what these vines are stitched at, and then I separated that so that was the same distance apart. So you really can't tell where one row starts and the next one, or one stops and the next one starts. I did use, I want to say medium gray, but let me just check. Yes, I did use the Omni medium gray on this. I did have to be super careful, and if you look real close, you're going to see lines that aren't quite straight with the stems, but you shouldn't point out your mistakes, right? I just want you to be aware of it, so if you're stitching this out, you can be sure. So this one looks really good here. Others may be a tad bit off, but in the overall thing, it's going to be hanging on the wall. You're not going to notice those little things. We're human. And I think you've got to embrace that human element, even in a digital pantograph. You know, we're still humans. We're still dealing with fabric and piecing and stretching and machines and just humans. And so nothing is ever going to be perfect, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying do the very best you can and go with it. You know, let's not pick ourselves apart. Do we always try to get better? Absolutely. You know, do we do our very best to attention to detail? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's going to be human little glitches of error in there, and take that from what it is. So I did my very best to keep these straight along, you know, especially you're going to notice it with those stems, not so much up here, but the overall effect I just think is gorgeous. This is going to be absolutely beautiful hanging on a wall. I just really love it. Even with the medium grays through this, the fuchsia color prints, I think it's, it looks nice because we do have some backing of some grays in here. So I just think I liked the darker on this fuchsia rather than the lighter on the black, if that makes sense. Where you can see this, but it is a medium gray, so it blends in, provides a lot of texture. But I preferred that so that background stayed in the background and it didn't dim the flowers on here very much, and you know, we've got some other grays in there as well. So I think it worked really well. I really like the way it turned out. This is a really neat pantograph. It's not going to work on every quilt. It's going to work on the perfect quilt, and this was the perfect quilt for it to work on. And I think it looks really, really nice. It may not be one that you use quite very often, but it really worked and really enhanced this quilt and just really gave it a punch, I think. You know, the quilt itself is very spectacular. I mean, it's one of those, wow, you're going to see it. And I think the quilting just added to that. And when you get in close, you're going to notice that. And I think it's going to finish off really nice. So I'll get this back to Katie. I know she was gifting this to somebody, so someone's going to be very happy with it. This final quilt does measure 43 by 50. And yep, that's the size on the pattern. So she did it exactly as called for. So Katie did a great job. I have two quilts to share with you by Jennifer, and this first one is called Half Step, and this is a free pattern by Moda. This was done for National Jelly Roll Day 2023. There's actually quite a few patterns on Fat Quarter Shop that are done from Moda Project Jelly Roll. So I love this pattern. Super simple. It uses a jelly roll and one additional fabric, and then besides your binding and your backing fabric. Measures 60 by 60. They do include, so it includes all the directions for you. And then it has a coloring sheet. So if you want to practice before so that you can lay it out. And then I love this on the back page, they give you different suggestions from different fabric lines. So even if you don't want to color, you can kind of see how different colorways are going to work. It is a square quilt, uses one jelly roll, 7/8 yard of a background print, 5/8 yard of a binding plus your backing fabric. So you may have this in your stash that you could do. National Jelly Roll Day is in September, but you don't have to wait for that. You can do it at any time. So I have linked this down below. You'll want to grab that. Jennifer did use a Moda jelly roll, which is appropriate since this pattern was done by Moda, called Modern Naturals by Amy Hill. And so some melon color, orangey, a little bit of a, not quite a turquoise, almost a grayish blue. I like that color. The gray is a very modern looking print. And actually when I first pulled up the pattern, I'm like, I'm not sure that's the same one. And then I backed away. Oh, absolutely it is. I can see it. I can see it in there, but I didn't see it at first. So jelly roll quilt. Doesn't get any easier than this. Super, super cute. Love the fabric line. So for the backing fabric, she put a minky on the back, and this is, I'll have to find the color of this one because it's not a brown, almost a grayish, maybe a platinum type of color. I like this. Very, very pretty. Love minky. The pantograph, then you can see this is called Cool Beans. So rounded edges on this one. Kind of a modern print as well. I felt this went really well, really nicely with the front. Jennifer had picked this out and suggested it, and I said, I think it's a perfect choice. So some biased edges, so almost like you're stitching rectangles and you're crossing over each other. You could do this one actually freehand. I did this one freehand, but I did it much more square. I didn't do it with the rounded edges, but this is really cute with the rounded edges. But super easy to do freehand because you're just making boxes, you're crossing over, you're making rectangles. You know, it's an easy one to work on for more of a geometric shape, not having to get real nice circles. You know, you're just doing squares or rectangles. But with this digital one, it does have the rounded edges, and went really well with the fabrics. You can see on the front have a lot of rounded edges. You can see like the oval prints here, and these prints, they have kind of that same type of look. For the thread, I did use a light gray Light gray worked well on the front. It blends into those fabrics. You can see even this, the additional yardage that she used for the squares has a little bit of a gray onto the white there. Not kind of a white, more of a grayish white. But it had a little bit of gray there, so using the light gray thread on the quilt top, and then the minky, you don't see the thread, you only see the texture, but I did use a pre-wound bobbin, the light gray on that one. So love this quilt. This is square, 60 by 60, so a nice lap size. Oh, this is just adorable. I really like it, Jennifer. Jennifer's second quilt is a baby quilt. It measures 36 by 48. The pattern is called Playroom, and that is by Sewn Handmade, S-E-W-N Handmade, and I have linked that down below. That's the pattern designer. So very geometric. Jennifer has used 2 Kona solids for this one. She's used the hunter green, and then, no, she's used a, hunter green Kona solid, and then the other one you're seeing is a grunge, and this is called Sugar Cookies, and it has just the slightest bit of green in there, which is really, really cute. So a grunge, you're familiar with grunge, how it's just a little smudged. I don't know, is that what you'd say? A little smudged, a little roughed up in the look of it, and it's just got the slightest bit of green in that design. I can see it a little bit more down here, but very geometric, long lines, triangles, squares, just very geometric, very modern looking quilt, really cute. And then on the back, she has done one of the minkies that's got the higher, it's almost like fur. It really is. It's almost like petting a cat here. It's the higher nap minky. Sheds like crazy until this gets bound. I mean, there's just going to be threads everywhere. My suggestion of this is don't cut it with scissors. Actually, when I trim a quilt off the long arm, I usually trim it just outside the stitch lines, and then I bring it to the floor on my big mats and square it up. With this one, I did not trim anything while it was on the long arm. I waited until I got it on the floor and then used rotary cutters. It still has tons and tons of shedding, but in my experience, I feel like cutting with a rotary cutter cuts down on the shedding a little bit more than scissors, where you're just creating the wind. I don't know. It's like, it just seems to do a little bit more. But you can see how it's just going to shed until it gets, the shedding is from the edges. It's not from the backing here, it's from the edges. So once that gets bound, that's going to stop, but it's just until that happens, you're going to have a lot of the shedding. So for the pantograph, we chose something circular to kind of contrast with all of the straight lines, the rectangles and the triangles. This is called Lake Ridge Puddles, and so did this in a cream color thread. This adds a nice circular without so not just super round circles, and I like that. I like that it's not, and this is one that Jennifer suggested as well, and so we ran with it. And I think she did a really nice job in choosing it, because it's not just another geometric shape on top of an already geometric quilt, even though circles would have been a contrasting geometric shape. I like the use of the puddle ones, because it elongates a little bit, adds a little bit of playfulness, being a baby quilt or a smaller quilt, and just gives a little bit of a different dimension, softens it up, I guess, a little bit is what I'm trying to say, from the very geometric and straight lines. So a really nice one. Made it large enough that you know, it's not super dense quilting, but small enough that you still see it in these negative spaces pretty well. So Lake Ridge Puddles just comes in, it comes to a point, and then it echoes itself back out. Very elongated, left to right, and then almost in an S shape, and then it goes up into the next circle, and then down to this circle, comes to a point, down into the next one, and then works itself back up and over, and that's how it's working itself across the quilt. So cream color thread on this one, if I didn't mention that already, so you do notice it on this hunter green, blends really nicely with the grunge fabric, and then again with the thickness of the minky on the back, you're just, you know, really with that kind of pet fur, you kind of lose it a little bit, you kind of lose the stitching a little bit, but not terrible. But the minky on the back is the highlight in this, and not the quilting. You're just really enjoying the feel. I mean, it's super cool. This one, this type of minky is just this higher nap, and it's just super cool. I mean, cool in like temperature cool. It just feels cool. Really nice. So super cute quilt. Jennifer did a great job on this one, and again, this pattern is called Playroom. This is Susan's quilt. This measures 56 by 75, and it's all Tilda fabrics. I like Tilda fabrics. I know they're pinks and greens and blues, but I don't know. There's something about them. Maybe it's the muted colors. I'm not a big pastel person, but I like Tilda fabrics. I really like their curated lines that they came out recently with the winter and the fall one. I really like those. Susan said she didn't know what the pattern was. She made this quite a while ago, so she didn't have a pattern. And it's just rectangles. So I'm not exactly sure what the pattern is. I can kind of see that it's done in blocks because this is all the way across right here. And then you know, maybe this right here is a block, so a rectangle, rectangle, larger piece, rectangle, larger piece. They're kind of switched up, and so a rectangle here, the bigger rectangles here, so they're alternated, but I don't know. Pleasing pattern. All Tilda fabrics. She's done a really nice job of coordinating them. There are a few solids mixed in here. You can see with the yellows, the greens, the pinks, the blues, the sagey color there, but they're all ones that match the Tilda floral fabrics. On the back, she even did a pieced backing with larger Tilda prints. I love the artwork that's done with the rain, and I love that. I just love Tilda artwork. I think it's very, very pretty. So she pieced the entire backing with much larger squares than is on the front. Very pleasing, just a very fun, soft, just feels very springy, and just a soft, dainty, lovely quilt. And so Susan said she wanted something, she wasn't quite sure, pantograph. She wanted something that maybe some circles, maybe something old-fashioned. And I said, well, let's kind of go in between that. We'll use a Baptist fan. Baptist fan, you can't get much more old-fashioned than a Baptist fan. And it does have that kind of a circular feel, kind of a half circle there. So easy Baptist fan. This is done by Three Sisters Fabric. I love this pantograph. Stitches out super well. I did use a cream color thread, kind of stayed with a little bit of a muted springy colors here. White might have worked, and would have been a little brighter, I feel like, with the Tilda fabrics, at least for this setting. There weren't any whites, you know, any white background fabric or anything like that. There wasn't white on the backing. So I felt like the cream really went well with just the color and the tone of this quilt. So easy Baptist fan. Can't go wrong with a Baptist fan. I just really like it. The Three Sisters Baptist fan, I keep it the same size it is when it pulls into Pro Stitcher, and I do shrink up the rows so that it matches pretty well. I've mentioned before that I leave just a tad bit of space so that I have some wiggle room. It's always better to leave a little space than it is to actually stitch over into the point of the one above it. So if this came up too high and actually crossed over the point of the bottom, you're going to notice that much more than you notice if I leave a little bit of a space. So you could do it much tighter, and you know, maybe I could, or but I like leaving that little bit of a space just to give myself some wiggle room, and I think it works out really nicely, and just love the texture that it creates without overpowering. It's a very busy fabrics. Tildas are very busy. The Easy Baptist fan just really gives it tons of texture without competing with more florals or more swirls. It's just a very classy, classic type of pantograph design. So it works out really, really well. And just love the quilt, Susan. Was I not right? Are those not beautiful quilts this week? I just absolutely love them. So tell me in the comments which one was your favorite. A wide range of styles this week. Some modern, some traditional, just a whole gamut, and I just absolutely love it. I am thrilled to do long arm quilting for you. And if you're in need of long arm quilting services, my information is down below. You can download the long arm prep instructions and order form. It has all the information you need. But tell me in the comments below what your favorite quilt this week was, and I will be back next week because every quilt is worth finishing. We'll see you then.